I'm here today to answer a series of questions of why. And so the first one we're going to dive into requires us to look a little bit at the tax code. And this is a perilous journey. Adam has warned me that I could get distant stares, glazed eyes. So I told him I'll go quick, we won't hesitate in this area, and we'll avoid all those things. So today we're a 501c3 private foundation. We're very different than most foundations. We employ 400 employees. We operate 13,000 acres. Most of our, 25% of our employee staff have PhDs. We conduct fundamental to applied research. This is not exactly what you see with most private foundations. When you think about them and you think about local foundations, you think about the Merrick Foundation, the Goddard Foundation, SOMF, and what they typically do is they take on challenges and they address community needs, but they do it through the giving of grants. Private foundations have been established. The laws and the rules around them work perfectly for those organizations. But for an organization such as ours, and the conduct of these sort of operations, what you begin to see is rules that affect contributions limit our ability to get donors, receive funds from private foundations. They limit our ability to work with partners. They interfere with our ability to manage our own intellectual property. And because we have so many subject matter experts, we're actually limited in our ability to visit with legislatures or with Congress. So as a consequence, this was a statement made by Bruce Hopkins, who was a reputable nonprofit commentator, and without any knowledge of the Noble Foundation and all of our extensive operations, he says generally, there is absolutely no advantage to being a private foundation, and most try to become a public charity. So as part of our separation, we have applied to the IRS to begin to transition from a private foundation to a public charity, and specifically an agricultural research organization. So one of the questions that may come up is why wait this long? Well, as Bill alluded to, in 2015, Congress actually passed the law that created agricultural research organizations. So this is something that we've wanted to do, but really haven't had the ability to do it for all these years. And so the separation of our philanthropy from our operations was a prerequisite for our application. What are the advantages to the Noble Foundation? One would be to increase our sources of funding. So currently we rely on our endowment, a few government grants in our research, and a little bit of industry. And so what we foresee is this transition will allow us to operate and broaden this funding opportunity. Create new technology transfer options. So a lot of our peer institutions, such as universities and other nonprofit public charities, they enjoy a whole gamut of different ways to move their technology and discoveries out into the marketplace. Joint ventures, spin-outs, concept development, different incubators and accelerators. These have all been foreclosed to the Noble Foundation and because of the rules associated with private foundations. We will continue to use licensing, which is what we've traditionally used, but now we have a whole gamut of new opportunities ahead of us. Align our operations with our tax-exempt form. When most people see that we're a private foundation, that creates a certain bias and stigma associated with it. This gives our researchers, our employees, new opportunities and allows us to conduct a new kind of operation. And then when appropriate, engage in advocacy, whether it be at the state level or the federal level. I just wanted to touch, at this point, one of the other questions that's been asked is why wouldn't we retain the Samuel Roberts Noble Foundation with regard to our operations? We have 70 years in this area. Most of our publications are in this area. Why not retain that? And we believe, as Bill touched on, is the idea that the philanthropy side of this and the position that Mr. Noble took when he set up the institution and named it for his father is an important part of our history. It's an important part of our legacy. So at this point, this allows me to transition. We allow the name to stick with the new foundation. So I'd like to introduce Mary Kate Wilson, who is the Director of Philanthropy for the new foundation, but also the Director of, make sure I get this right, Community and State Affairs and Donor Relations for the Institute.